Just imagine it's a big football player. Name your favorite football player. Mean Joe. Well, that's a bit in the past. That's all right.
Okay.
And who's a big linebacker?
Dennis Rodman.
Dennis Rodman is coming after us right now. I'll be the Raptor. I'll be the Raptor. Just so you hold it out. And he goes, wham! That's the idea. After he lands, I need him to scramble on his hands and knees and run out to that car over there.
1, 2, 3, action!
We had the mechanical Raptors in the back lot in Lost World, and earmarked for only the shots that we needed the mechanical Raptors to do, like for instance putting a hole in a side window of the car and using its nose to kind of drill away at the hole to widen the hole to be able to climb into the car and kill the occupants. With all of the really good ILM digital, Raptor work around that kind of defunct gas station. That was really a great combination of Stan Winston and ILM that was in perfect balance and harmony with each other, especially the scene where Julianne Moore is trying to dig her way out because the Raptor is digging its way in to this sort of tool shed. Only shot from the inside of the tool shed, then all of a sudden the Raptor comes through the hole Julianne's already dug and tries to get her. So I mean that was all mechanical. That was 100% Stan Winston. When the Raptor gets into the tool shed, jumps on the pipes, that's of course ILM. And it was pretty much 50-50, which is why the film cost more than the Jurassic Park cost, because we used many, many more digital effects. What audiences are going to have a tough time believing is that I believe in Jurassic Park, there were only about 62 or 63 digital dinosaur shots in the entire picture. Everything else was Stan Winston. But in The Lost World, there were probably several hundred digital dinosaur shots. Certainly the Lost World dinosaurs, the learning curve was shorter. We were able to perfect a lot of stuff, but they don't look that much different one from the next. But the artist really understood how to make them behave and move much more realistically between the first and the second movie. So this is about the size of the guy when it pokes through the. That's pretty good. Look at the head size. That's great. Great head.
Grab the guy.
Yeah.
The original ending was going to be that they get off the island and a pterodactyl attacks the helicopter, and it's a kind of an aerial battle, kind of this big giant bird against bird aerial battle, which was kind of cool.
Chopper on 192. The chopper on 193 is suddenly yanked violently. 194 is basically this picture right here, this color picture.
But I think what was strong about where Stephen was at the time was to realize that that couldn't be the end of that story. You have the T-Rex brought down, and you even feel now sympathy for the T-Rex and being brought down by the hunter and the way it's caged and all that kind of stuff. And you realize it's all for this amusement park, which actually might have been cool, but it seems corrupt.
But the real thing that I was interested in doing, even if it was just for a half a third act, was getting the T-Rex back to a mainland city in the United States. That was a last-minute idea I had, and I was developing the script with David Koepp, and I called David and I said, hey, let's throw out the whole last act, and let's just somehow find a way to bring the T-Rex back to America. Let's bring the T-Rex to San Diego, a port city, comes back on a big cargo container, gets out and starts roaming the streets. So kind of on a whim, we worked that into the story and ended the picture, in the U.S.
No, it suddenly is a Godzilla movie, and I just have only dreamed about making one of these as a child.
Yeah.
As a grown-up, I'm ashamed of myself.
Move it that way so Mitch doesn't see it.
I said, we can't make another one of these movies unless I get a shot at seeing a dinosaur walking down a street past gas stations and mini malls, strip malls, with cars spinning out, knocking over the big 76 sign from the gas station. I mean, wanted to have some fun with that. Wanted the dinosaur, even if it was only for 11 or 12 minutes, to kind of set foot in America.
We're shooting at nighttime at Burbank. We're just, 8 miles away from where they shot King Kong. And you really definitely have the feeling, but on a much bigger scale than Kong, with cars crashing and flying through the air and everything. It was just, that was really fun doing that. I think the work came out great. And it gave me a lot of opportunity to try things with the lighting also, with street lights and stuff like that you can play the character going in and out of light and have surprises and be able to see his skin a certain way and everything. It was a lot of fun.
We had a giant bus sequence, T-Rex chasing and attacking a bus that ends up driving through the window out of the video store. So for that sequence, we had to close down like 2 city blocks up in Burbank and build a bus that would be able to crush its side in and also hop up on 2 wheels from the hit of the T-Rex before the crash. So we bought a bus and did all of our rigging, on a big scale this time, not a Ford Explorer, but a real full-size bus.
Guys, we'll do it 2 takes. Just crush the side in first, and then we'll go turn the bus around and have the guys flying out the windows that you're standing out right now, which is probably better for them, but at least on this take, we've got all of this rigging with these cables. We're gonna suck this whole wall in. All this stuff is designed to blow glass out, and we have pneumatics, we're using air, and we're gonna retract rams to pull the wall in to create the effect.
2, 1.
That was a major CGI sequence, effects sequence, and basically you only get one shot at it because by the time you're done, there's so much wreckage. The bus is ruined, the store is ruined, so we really had to rehearse that one. That's really big sequence movie making, and it was fun. It was really fun.
A really funny thing was when we were shooting the T-Rex wreaking havoc through the streets of San Diego, and we ended up using most of the crew to be chased by the T-Rex. If you look at that scene and you know anybody, you can pick out various people that were in our crew.
What I liked about Lost World is it's a great opportunity to do things better or different than you did the first time around. In my case, we paid even more attention to ambiances and tried to make a rich world of birds and insects and all that in Lost World. And there's so many more dinosaurs, and trying to make them all distinct. So now there are so many different sources you need to find for this stuff, from the compies to the baby T-Rex. So we went out again and recorded more stuff. My favorite recording trip for Lost World was we went to Marine World, and they had trained walruses. And one of the things that they did that I loved were these whistles. They trained the walruses to whistle. They puckered their big lips, and they made these beautiful whistles. And the sound of the walrus whistle is all throughout. Its ambiances is these weird howling ambiances in the T-Rex lair. Or spooky whistles in the jungle in the background.
Robert Burke said the T-Rex was a rogue who would abandon its young at
But
the earliest
to get the walruses to do this, they would feed them fish. So then when they would whistle, bits of fish would fly out of the walrus's mouth and hit us while we were recording. And we had to stand firm and not panic and not scream out in agony as we were being splattered by gooey fish parts. There's a lot of the crested dinosaurs. We recorded cows through tubes. So you would put a microphone in a long tube and record cows. Skywalker Ranch being a wonderful place to record cows because they're everywhere. And it became these large crested dinosaurs. So I had my baby elephant, which was to me the main signature sound for the T-Rex roar. Now we have a second T-Rex. So we had to come up with baby elephant-like sounds for the second T-Rex so they wouldn't be the same. We went to pigs and some weird Costa Rican mammals that we recorded. We don't even know what they are, but they made that same screechy sounds. And so the second T-Rex has no baby elephant, has baby elephant-like sounds in there, so you can distinguish the two. The baby T-Rex, we recorded a baby camel. And as part of the routine for this baby camel, the handlers would take the mother away from the baby camel. So this is literally what's happening in the movie. I don't think we modified the baby camel too much. Maybe changed the pitch a little bit, but that's what it is. It's a baby camel calling for its mom. I love the compies because they're tiny and they swarm. And the fun element for them was their movement is mostly bird stuff, hummingbirds and birds flocking. Even though they're not birds, there's no wing flaps, but the sound of these quick works for this swarm of compies. One of my proudest using the wrong thing for the right sound moment was my dental floss. When I would pull out the dental floss and made this horrific screech, this. And I usually didn't use non-animal sounds, but for the Tronodon, that screech with some echo, slow it down, it was perfect.
Stephen and I have worked together now, as you and I are talking, almost for 40 years. A few months it will be that length of time. And Stephen has never said to me once in 40 years, I don't like that. Try something else, or this isn't right. It's not his way. He will come to my room and I will play him themes. And I can tell his eyes or his face or his body reaction to anything, and he always leaves the meetings very happy. He might leave me thinking, maybe I have work to do. Maybe it isn't quite there yet. But the process is always positive with him.
There's a little Max Steiner influence in some of John's score, the King Kong-esque primitive, jungle rhythm that he put into that. When I compare the scores, for me, all of John's work is equally, touched with just, blessed with genius. But I prefer the Lost World score because it's much more complicated musically than the first one. It's got more themes, and when we do intone the Jurassic Park theme in the second movie, when they get into the visitor center, which has been overgrown, you kind of have that little touch of nostalgia. In a way, it almost makes you miss the first movie while you're watching the second one. But it's really hard when you make a continuation of a very popular film, ever really to give the audience, more than they thought they wanted, which is the key. But Lost World was my first pure sequel. Indiana Jones I don't consider sequels. It's an adventure series. That's different than sequels, but The Lost World is a sequel. The same characters don't carry the baton. You can switch out the characters from Jurassic to Jurassic. So that is a pure sequel, and it was very successful. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was very successful. And it's fun to know that you're making a movie that the audience is going to be a participant in, which is different than another kind of film like an historical drama where you just hope to get an audience to participate in any way. You're almost begging for an audience to come to something that they're not going to rush to. But on something like Jurassic Park, and The Lost World. It's just a lot of fun to know that there will be an audience there, and you got to give them what you want, and you got to make some presumptions about what you think they'd like to experience. So in a way, when I make a movie like Jurassic Park, it's a true collaboration between myself and the audience. Okay, let's go. Let's shoot. Let's shoot. Here we go.
Okay.
Because as much as it's for the child still in me who loved playing with dinosaurs when I was a little kid, you know, it's much more for them, and I like having them as my partner.